Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to our Let's Play series of Strategic Command, World War II, World at War. In our last episode, we completed the conquest of Yugoslavia, and in this episode we're working on completing the conquest of Greece, as well as preparing for the invasion of Russia, which will be coming probably in the next couple of months, and in Japan's theater we're starting to get ready for the eventual inclusion of the United States of America to being at war with us, while trying to retake Peking and deal with this large-scale Chinese counteroffensive in the north. In the south, we've been stymied largely by terrain, but in the north, we're being overwhelmed by Chinese manpower, so in this episode, we're going to try and counter that. I'm actually going to start off with attempting to counter that by operating some troops that are on the border with Russia and bringing them into the theater where we're facing the Chinese in northern China. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We'll move these units. And then I'm also going to go ahead and pull some of these garrison troops back because I need to replace these troops that I'm operating into these theaters. So if we don't have troops in these sort of border provinces with the Soviet Union, there's a likelihood that the Soviets will end up declaring war against Japan and taking advantage of the fact that our troops are located in other theaters. So I'm moving a lot of troops around, spending money by moving these troops around, and we'll see how this all works out here. But I can't get them up there. Why can't they get up there? In any event. Alright, so I've replaced all the troops in the bases. I've replaced troops in the bases that we pulled troops from. And hopefully that's good enough. I haven't pulled everybody out yet, but a pretty substantial number of troops have been withdrawn from the theater. So we'll see how that works out next turn. I've also moved my tank over here to try and get it back into supply. I know some of you were screaming at me to hit the S key to see where supply is. If you hit S, you can see where supply is located throughout the map. 0 obviously being no supply. You can get units basically stuck if you move them into places where you have no supply. So with that being said, that's going to do it here for our Japanese actions. We actually already kind of completed our turn before we ended the last episode. In the European theater, pretty much everybody's already moved as well. These guys, these garrison troops, we're going to go ahead and move to Thessalonica. These garrison troops, we're going to operate to Skopje. And then I know we're moving some troops south as well. Oh, wait. Alright, so these guys are on top of some partisans, and in some other areas, not so much. But alright, so we've got more of the Africa Corps preparing to move. We're starting to transition our Air Force to the east as well. It doesn't look like there's that many around here. Now, we also do need to make sure we don't forget about our naval forces. We have some ships located out here in the channel, somewhat exposed. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some of them back to the French ports. I'll move most of my surface fleet away from the British. Okay, these subs will move over here. No, destroyer! Shit. Well, let's take advantage of that destroyer. It's small and weak. We'll use the surface vessels that we already have at sea against it. We can use some subs against it. Move him back up here. Damn, didn't quite finish him off. I think this guy already moved. These guys did too. Meanwhile, can we not reinforce some of these guys? Oh, we can. Okay. Max 5 per turn, I guess. Anyway, trying to rebuild some of our naval forces as well. These guys are in port, so they should be safe. I think that about does it for that turn. So that does it for the Germans anyway. Why don't we go take a look at the purchasing map here? We haven't purchased much recently. I think for Italy, do we want to purchase additional Italian soldiers? We got a lot of Italian money. Kind of feel like we should purchase some. They look like HE 111s when I do that. Let's see here. We don't have any mechanized Italian forces. We do have... We could raise an additional army. Anti-tank or tank. But the only thing that we don't really have any advanced technologies yet is Italy. Tactical bombers. Do we not have money for that? Why can't I purchase this? I'm confused. Apparently won't let me buy this, even though we have enough money. Or maybe we didn't. I was looking at the wrong screen. We didn't have enough money. Uvel, army, mechanized, garrison. I don't know. We probably need at least one garrison unit for them. Germany has spent its money. Let's go back to research here real quick and see. For Japan, it's only spending 1,500. It can spend up to 2,000. We're spending some on industrial technology. We're almost there. We're spending some on ground attack weapons, long-range aircraft. Let's actually take a look at the diplomacy screen here for a second. Japan has one chit. USSR is at 38%. USA is at 50%. Let's see if we can try and convince anybody else to join us. Thailand's the country that I really want to try and convince. And they're cheap to do that, so I'm going to go ahead and spend 50 points on them. And then let's see if we can get some Italian money coming in here. Since we've got all this money for the Italians, we don't have a lot of units that we want to build with them right now. So I think we're going to spend 150 on diplomacy for the Italians to try and get Thailand in. So that way we can take Singapore when we eventually end up at war with the Allies. So if we can convince Thailand to join us, then this whole section joins the Axis, which gives us a rail line in toward around into the Malay Peninsula, which should give us a open door to the British possessions at Singapore. So that's the objective there. Meanwhile, let's again purchase some more units for Japan. Nanjing could raise more garrison troops. Raise another corps of infantry. Actually, we could raise some troops here. These guys are cheap, aren't they? Alright, so we can only raise one corps there. So we just raised a corps of sort of Chinese troops, loyalist Chinese troops. And for Japan, I don't know if tanks are going to do us much good, but I do think we could use more fighters. We also have level 2 advanced fighters, so that should be useful. Those are expensive too. So we'll do that, exit out of there, and then we can see, I'd like to upgrade some of my air units, but I think they've all already gone this turn. So we'll just kind of save the rest of our stuff for next turn. Alright, so we move them all around. North Africa is already moved. The Italian fleet probably should move to safer waters. So let's get them back into the Ionian Sea. Now that we're taking Egypt, there's always a risk that the Allies decide to send their fleet out against us. This guy can't move? Or can he? I'm confused. Do we leave one battleship out here all by himself? And the sub can't move. So the battleship and the sub can't move. He can still bombard, though. But I don't want to do that because we're going to take that island next. So that's all they can do. All right, so we move the German fleet back. We move the Italian fleet back as best we can. And now it's time to grit our teeth and see what happens in the February turn for the Allies. Oh, no! So by moving back into Taranto, I guess, we triggered an event where the Italian Navy is attacked by the British Air Force, or the British Air Force operating off carriers. Whole bunch of research just completed as well. So we're taking all these, we're researching all these things, but we really need to, like, actually take advantage of it and upgrade some of our units. Problem is, I don't think we've researched much in the way of, like, actual, what do you call it? Like, infantry weapons for the Japanese or things like that. Okay. So we saw the Greeks reinforce their soldiers at Athens, who had almost been overwhelmed last turn. The Chinese are reinforcing their troops near Peking. They're almost surrounded, actually. They've only got a narrow window. Oh, we just surprised a British light cruiser. And we detected a British aircraft carrier. Some Greek cruisers are sailing around, engaging the Italian fleet. More surprising of the enemy there, doing some damage to some British destroyers. Oh no, battleships. Maybe that cruiser will be able to escape. In any event, that was a very costly turn. British armor and infantry counterattacking with vigor in North Africa. I will say this game does not really give a North Africa-y... Oh no, they surrounded that unit of ours. I will say this game doesn't really give a North Africa-y feel to the way combat takes place there. There's no sweeping back and forth and sort of epic style of the engagements there. So things do feel a little bit... I don't know. It feels like World War I. Trench warfare in a lot of cases. Which is a good feel for China, I think, but maybe not so much for... in the North African theater. Royal Navy's really going after that sub. Hasn't had much success yet. It's dealing quite a bit of damage against them. Feels like the Allies get like one free destroyer from the US every turn too, which is a little bit challenging. See, destroyer for bases agreement. Partisan activity in Manchuria. Greek morale suffers as the Prime Minister commits suicide. Axis raiders disrupting stuff. Hitler's sister-in-law, Bridget Dowling, shows her support for the Allied war effort. Okay, start broadcasting something. Calculating supply, and it should be our turn. Is it March now, I think? You can see the British lost 17, 22, 29 industrial points to our naval efforts. The Tirpitz and Panzer Grenadier troops are ready. Alright, so I think the other question that I need to figure out is, like, where are we going to put the bulk of our invasion force of the Soviets? I think we kind of put a big chunk of it in the sack here in Poland. I'm assuming some drive north, take Brest-Litovsk, go for Minsk, Orisha, Smolensk, and then toward Moscow. And then you probably have another army group that moves south here toward Kiev, Kursk, Orel, and then advances up the southern corner of Russia. So you probably have two main invasion routes along these rail lines, and then I don't really know what we're going to do elsewhere. But that kind of means I think I probably need most of my armor in this area. Can we deploy battleships to... No? Naints? And then Japanese strategic bombers. Available and ready. Pyongyang. Alright, so let's see here. We need to liberate these guys who are cut off. We need to try and retake Peking. What's the best way to do that? I'd like to surround these guys and create a pocket of our own. It's raining here, so our aircraft can't do anything. Well, these fighters can, but I'd rather they just upgrade to advanced fight us. These guys, we'll upgrade them. Naval weaponry, long-range aircraft ground attack. And can we upgrade these bombers too to ground attack weapons? There we go. All right. So upgrading our air forces there in northern China during the rainy season. Let's also focus on reinforcing some of these troops too. We're going to lose some experience for some of these troops in China, but I think it's important to get our strength up, especially with the Chinese really getting aggressive over here while we've got the money, before we're at war with the U.S., those kind of things. The interesting thing here is, though, can we destroy these guys? It feels like they're kind of getting out ahead of them, ahead of their... Not quite. Alright, so we're retreating here in southern China. Alright. Mainly just because I can't support my troops as far forward as they are. Okay. Nice. Alright, these guys need to reinforce too. Alright, so most of our troops in China, I think, are reinforced, or many of them are, I guess, not most. These guys, I don't know what I want to do with these. These are like amphibious soldiers, so it's probably better to have them get on transports. I don't know what to do with these guys. All right, let's go north here. Let's take a look at the north. So we've got some opportunity to weaken them here. So let's do this. We'll attack here. I don't know why I attacked the one that was going to take casualties. Shattered. The Chinese army south of Peking destroyed. All right, now these guys should have more supply next turn, I guess. Okay. All right, is there a forced march option? No. Well, shit. I'd like to force march them, but I can't. Alright, so we're threatening their northern flank at least. Pull these guys back. Alright. So let's bring these troops in. Or we can't? Really? Alright. I think that's about going to do it this turn for the Japanese. Move the armor up to the north, I think, of China here before too long. Are there any partisans in Japan or in Vietnam? No? Okay. Alright, so that pretty much does it for Japan's turn. Unless we can upgrade these battleships at all. We can. Can also improve the fighter aircraft on our aircraft carriers. So I guess we need to do that. Spend some money here. Reinforcing some of these ships with their losses. And then upgrading their capabilities. These guys all need to have their aircraft upgraded, I guess. Or I would guess that's true. Maybe that's not true, I don't know. So we'll kind of focus on doing that over the next few turns. Getting everybody up to peak efficiency or capabilities before we go to war with the US. Spend some additional money reinforcing some of these units. Man, realistically, I probably need another headquarters too. I don't have any headquarters in the north, just this one in Manchuria, but it's not really, I don't think, effectively helping the troops in China all that much. So I probably need another Japanese headquarter unit too. But anyway, that does it for the Pacific Theater in Europe. We need to keep moving these aircraft to the east toward the front. Set different modes. Okay. All the snow. The snow graphic honestly kind of gets in the way of being able to figure out what the hell's going on. Alright, so Athens is under attack. They reinforced, but we're still continuing the assault on the city. So move in. There we go. We got it. Alright, and now... Well, no one can move in over there yet. Alright, so I think we'll let the Germans take the city. So we're going to move our bombers up north here. Alright, I think we're just going to operate most of these troops to the front. I hate spending that money, but it's especially down here, it's going to take a while to get them there. And I think we'd benefit from having most of these troops where they need to be anyway. I wonder if we should transport this armor. Should we bring this armor to North Africa? Alright, let's transport these guys first. Alright, so we sort of screened a wide area here. So we'll move those ships through there. We'll put their tanks down on the ground in Africa. And we'll get them moving toward the front. Move this infantry forward as well. Pull the garrison back. Pull those troops back. Can we reinforce these guys? There we can. These guys will continue holding their outpost over here against the British armor to distract them. Meanwhile, this is field artillery, right? Can they shoot these guys? No. Alright, we'll wait to move forward till next turn, I think. Alright, so... Need to pull these guys back. Where did that British carrier go? Oh my goodness! We detected the Royal Navy! And we're doomed! I mean, maybe? Let's see. I don't think I can get my... I can get my ships down there. I worry about their ability to survive. I think this turn it would be better to just let them all... I'd reinforce them if I could, but it doesn't... I don't really have the ability to do that right now either. None of these guys are in ports. So maybe we'll do that next turn. Meanwhile, we could bring the Italian armor south. Just the problem is they're not very good. Their tanks kind of suck. But hey, more armor is always good, right? As long as it doesn't chew up all your available supply. Pouring in additional resources into the North African theater. Honestly, I think most of these guys would do better to just be on the front in fighting against the Soviets. The southern half of the front is going to be disproportionately allied, I guess. Just speaking candidly. Okay. I wonder if Greece will have money to raise a new unit in Athens or not. I guess we'll find out. These guys haven't moved yet. I'm going to operate them to the south just to make sure I have some German forces here in the south. Alright, so that'll about do it for them. Meanwhile, in the Atlantic, this guy made it to port and rebuilt himself. This guy is gonna reinforce. Battle of the Atlantic is expensive. God damn it. This is an upgraded British battleship, for what it's worth. The question is, do we want to risk going after it? Another one! More British fucking ships. Okay. I kind of do want to try and go after these guys. Question is, what else is out here? We'll have this cruiser try and finish off their cruiser. Almost sank it, but not quite. We've got 2 battleships here to try and deal with these guys. Huzzah! We finished off one of their battleships. Of course, they seriously damaged one of our own as well. And we finished off a cruiser. Alright, so we're going to get this cruiser back to port because it's in serious health concerns. They've got a lot of other ships they can try and... I wouldn't be surprised if we lose this battleship or a battleship. They have multiple enemy warships nearby. They've got a carrier back here somewhere. But we did just manage to destroy one of their battleships. And we managed to destroy one of their cruisers. So from a morale perspective, that's got to be good for us, I would think. If we take a look at graphs and we go to national morale, we can see the German national morale is 112. The British national morale is 89. The French, well, they fell when they surrendered. Vichy France is up there. The US is 100. Soviets are 100. Poland is 100. Nationalist China 76. Italy's 91, and Japan is 87, I guess, from the losses in China. In any event, some pretty big naval battles going on that turn. These guys need to reinforce, but I don't really have a lot of money for them to do that. And then we've got the Tirpitz, and what is this over here? The Scharnhorst? Okay. So... Army Group North is largely just infantry. I don't know if we're really going to race too aggressively toward Leningrad. To me, the main focus is Moscow. And Moscow can be attacked via the sort of Smolensk-Kiev route, I think. I'm not really sure what the best strategy is here. If we drive on Kiev this way, also these land forces moving to the east could assist as well. I'm not sure what Russia's mobilization is at right now. But yeah. So I think that does it there. Advancing in the desert. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this turn. So overall, kind of a moderate turn there. I'd say there was some success. Bloodied some units in China. Destroyed some units in China, liberated these guys to the west of Peking, destroyed a whole Chinese army unit to the south of Peking. I think we might be able to liberate Peking next turn, maybe destroy another Chinese unit, upgraded the Japanese fighter fleet, and have money set aside for rebuilding the Italian Navy, which has lost pretty heavily, and started moving forces into place for the soon-to-occur invasion of the Soviet Union, because... I mean, maybe it's not a smart thing to do, but the game kind of nudges you in that direction, more than nudges in some cases. And also, frankly, I don't have much else for my troops to do. I'm not going to try and... maybe we should try and invade England directly. I don't know. I mean, we've destroyed a big chunk of their navy. It might not be crazy to try and get an actual invasion of England going. That seems maybe feasible. Again, their navy is not in great shape. It's out here to the west. Bring a couple subs, scout out the channel, move them across, and invade, maybe? I don't know. It seems a little risky. Anyway, guys, I hope you're enjoying this series. We'll see where we go next time. But until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.